Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Android Developers Hangout. Today we have a special guest, Ellie Powers, who is a product manager, I should say. a product manager for the Android Market Developer Console. She's going to tell us a little bit about Developer Console and what you can do with it, and hopefully we're going to be able to get some questions and some feedback from those of you who have joined us in the Hangout. So if you are dialed in and ready to talk, do be prepared. We have some questions that we would like to ask about how you use the console and those sorts of things. So I will let Ellie speak more to that. So I'll, in fact, let you introduce yourself.
Okay, thanks. So I'm Ellie Powers. I'm, like you said, a product manager on the, what is it again? The Android Market Developer Console. What I'm here to do mostly today is to find out more from all of you about how we can make a better experience developing for Android and a better experience in terms of publishing your app and connecting with your users. So I'm going to show you a little bit of what we've just launched last week, and then I want to get your feedback about what's working well and what's not working well for you so that we can improve the product for you in the future this year. So.
Perfect. All right, I will hand you this, and you can use this to demonstrate. I will make this full screen as well. I'm going to try and screencast and see how this works.
So this is one example of how we had heard a lot of questions from developers saying, hey, you're giving me a bunch of comments, but sometimes I need to find certain types of comments. Like, for example, I noticed that my star rating went down. Why was that? Maybe I only want to look at the really low comments. Or maybe I see that a lot of people are posting negative feedback. Maybe I want to understand, are those people all on the same device? Or a new device is launched, is it running properly? Or are people saying that they're having issues with it? So towards that end, we've shared a lot more data here about the users' comments. We've also given you some tools to filter them. So it's pretty simple here. We just have this gray bar right here on the application's comments page. So you can pick the language here from the list, so you can choose whatever language the user's comments are in. So for my purposes, we're going to pick English for the moment, and it'll just go ahead and show only the English language comments. So if you're hearing that there might be issues in another particular country, you could use this as a tool to, let's say, pull up all the comments from Korea and, analyze those together. Maybe you're also interested in, why are my reviews negative? What types of issues are people reporting when they're really unhappy with the app? So I go ahead and choose, let's say, only 1-star ratings. So this is allowing you to pull up English reviews with 1-star ratings. So what I can do here is I can go and...
Could everyone who joins please put yourself on mute?
Cool. Welcome. So what we can do here is scroll through all these comments, and this allows me to easily review the least happy people in English and what they said about my app. And then each next comment I get a little bit of information. So I can see here what device that user had and also what version of the app they used when they were giving the rating. So we hope this will give you a lot more feedback in terms of tracking down problems, or if you've, let's say, released a new bug fix, understanding is that bug fix giving you better reviews or worse reviews than before. So are we good here, or is that not working for somebody?
So.
Okay. Since we have it open, does anyone have any questions about this new feature? We launched it just last week.
Whenever there's a long pause, it's because someone's typing into the chat window. We want to give them a chance to finish typing.
I'm looking at the text that says Seliga's typing. I'm curious to see what's going to happen.
It's entered text. Hit enter. You're killing us.
No pressure.
I'm faster.
For those of you who are watching on the live stream who aren't part of the Hangout, and you do have questions at any stage, feel free to drop them into the comments on the Android Developers reshare, and someone in this room will keep an eye on that and let us know if there are any questions there.
Says the screen is blank for me, but if I watch the stream, it works.
It's interesting. Screen. Okay. Fair enough. So the people who are in the Hangout may not be able to see the screen share, but the people who are watching on the broadcast presumably can.
Okay.
Okay, that's weird, and I apologize for that. Hopefully it'll fix itself. Luckily, we're not going to be spending too much time looking at the screen share, so hopefully that won't be too much of a problem.
Yeah. Bug report.
Is there any questions on the live stream that you guys can see?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Well, to zoom it in.
I don't think that'll. Well, okay. Give it a try.
Did that do anything?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. I hope folks are able to see this. So in case you weren't able to see before, I'll try doing one more zoom in just to make it really big. So it's just here on the applications comments page. So if you haven't already, I'd really recommend that you go into the developer console and give it a try. And hopefully this will help you narrow down the comments that you want to look at. Save you some time rather than just going through page by page.
Okay, there is a question I can see there. Can you see the Android version of the devices of the comments in the list?
No, not at the current time. It sounds like that's something that we might want to consider for the future if it would be useful. It just shows the app version.
Yeah, that could be quite useful because then you can know not just that it's a Samsung Galaxy Nexus, but what version of the platform, so you can
Definitely.
get that sort of feedback.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
It'd definitely be cool to be able to see things, even things like ROM version and stuff like that. Sometimes you'll see a bug in some specific ROM version, just so you can track it and help kind of feedback to end users. And hey, we know this version has a problem on this device.
Definitely. Are there any other things that you would want to see on this feature?
So anyone who's dialed
feel
into
free
the
to add
Hangout,
it.
feel free to unmute and just tell us, or
Yeah.
type it into the chat box if you're more comfortable with that.
I posted this as a question on the announcement, and I was wondering if there was any plans for gift codes or things like that, so that we could give people a free version of the app or something for some reason or another.
So I should probably have mentioned this right at the beginning. Like with pretty much anything which happens at Google.
Yeah, I kind of figured that you wouldn't be able to answer, but I figured it was worth a shot to ask.
And I respect that initiative.
And you should ask.
You're right.
And I guess I would just say that it's certainly a feedback that we've heard very frequently. So it's good to hear it again and just know that it's still something that people are interested in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thanks.
I should say, we're definitely keen to hear feedback, and we unfortunately can't say anything about how much that feedback is being turned into a product, but it's definitely very useful, and that's why we're doing things like this to hopefully show you guys that we do really value that feedback, and it does go to the people who make the decisions. So keep it coming. Was there anything else you wanted to show off, or
no? That's it for what we launched last week.
All right.
So hopefully in the future we'll have more features to share. So. And get to meet more members of the team that builds the site, because I know a lot of folks on the Hangout spend a lot of time in this website. So the nerve center of your apps. So
let's see if we can get some feedback from the folks in the Hangout. So I'm gonna start picking people at random. John, I picked you because I recognize your name.
Thanks, Rhoda. Well, I've actually posed this suggestion before at an ADL here in Santa Monica to Natasha Bach. But one thing that, well, my apps have recently taken a pretty big dive in revenue in the market, and I know exposure is really the biggest thing, because I'm still doing the same sort of external marketing stuff, but within the market is kind of a mystery, because I don't know where users are coming from when they find my app. I don't know what they're searching for. I don't know anything about them. And I don't know bounce rates, how many come and see the page but then don't buy. What do I need to change to get that bounce rate to improve? So what I would really like is some analytics. In fact, Google Analytics, the product that Google already has is perfect. And on the Chrome Web Store, you submit an app there. There's just a little field for your analytics key. You throw it in there, and then you've just magically got analytics. That same kind of thing would be great on the Market website, and of course, also on the Market client on the devices. So that I can see, are people finding me through searching terms I'm expecting, or something completely unexpected. So that's really my big thing, is a nice, easy plug-in, hopefully with Google Analytics, so that we get a full range of stuff, maybe even further down the line, be able to I don't know, do specific event tracking. How many people have, I don't know, what do they see me in a search result only? Do they see me, in the category list and scroll past, like that kind of thing? How many times am I showing up in a scrolling list of other apps, that kind of stuff as well? So yeah, analytics is my big want, and has been for a while.
So yeah, one thing to note is that the I'm off camera here, so
Come on, camera, Dan.
yeah. So one thing to note that I've talked about it a few times. There we are. Is that we actually do have support for really basic tracking of marketing through analytics through a refer URL. And so there is actually support of that in market. It's not, you don't get an automatic page. It does go to the analytics provider of your choice. We provide a plugin for Google Analytics that allows you to see at least which referral code led externally and externally drove you to the app. At least you can find that information out. But admittedly, that doesn't give you an idea of how the site is working and how your page is working, which is something that we've also heard people really want to know. People want to, from our perspective, giving people information, that helps them do their business is a great thing. So we've heard that feedback.
Specifically in response to that, am I understanding correctly that you have to set up this campaign first, and then track those refers? It's not something that happens in any automatic fashion, right?
That's correct. You have to create URLs and get them populated on the web, and then I'm off camera again. This room is very small.
It's all right, Dan. Now that I know who you are, it's not such a mystery.
Yeah.
That's great. So that's something I can use in my own social marketing and on my website and that kind of thing. But say a blogger posts about my website in Romania, and I don't know that blog, I don't follow that blog, but I get a surge of traffic one day, and I have no idea where it's coming from. Oh, I can't, ask that blogger to post my link with a refer URL, campaign. So I don't see that as valid for tracking the general outside.
Yeah, no, it's just a start. It's just a start. It's the most basic integration of analytics. It allows you to track certain kinds of campaigns, but it's not enough. I mean, I think all of us here are numbers people. I think that we all like numbers. We all want to see more numbers. We all like graphs. We all like to see what momentum, what the marketing you do, brings, and the marketing that's done on other blogs. I mean, you might want to go and advertise on a specific blog because you're seeing that it's driving a lot of people to your app. That would be great if it was easy to set that up and you didn't actually have to go and create a campaign and work with the blog to begin with in order to figure that out. So we totally get it.
Yeah, it's great to hear also that it sounds like your business has made the transition from you built an app, you feel like you have a high-quality app, you've gotten a good bit of usage, and now you're trying to push it to the next step of how do I maintain a high stream of users, especially as Android market is getting more and more people. How do I understand what I'm doing with marketing? So it's great to hear. What type of role do you have at your company?
Well, actually, I've been sole developer, marketer, and everything for the last year and a half, but I just recently joined a company here in Orange County called Funware, where we work on Discovery Channel and National Geographic and a lot of different apps. So now I'm just doing development for these guys. So that's kind of fun for me. I don't have to do the marketing.
And when you're thinking about those sorts of questions, are there other people maybe in marketing or sales or other roles at your company who are asking you for that data?
Not yet. I've only been working here for about 2 weeks, but I'm sure there will be.
Okay, cool. Well, great. I hope we'll have better tools for you and the rest of the folks there at some point.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Excellent. Let's see if we can hear from someone else. Let's see, if I put you on the big screen, that generally means that I'm pointing the finger at you. I can't quite see your name, unfortunately. It's come off the bottom. But yes, you're the second from the left on the bottom. Brown? I'm sorry, I can't quite see the rest of your name. But you're on screen now. Do you have any feedback about the developer console team? How do you use the tool at the moment? Breon.
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can,
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm the engineering liaison at Code 42 Software. We develop CrashPlan and CrashPlan Pro backup software. We launched our mobile apps back in September, October, and have done a couple versions since then and updated them. The one thing that I'd like to see would be a little bit easier way to update the apps on the console. Currently, you have to upload the APK, then activate it, and then go back to the other tab, refresh the page, save it, add your recent changes, and then save it again. It just seems to be a little bit convoluted. Every app update should have a recent changes section, so it should be like, okay, here are the 3 things you need to do in order to update your app. Give us a new APK, give us the recent changes, swap out some screenshots, and so on. So it'd be nice if that was a little bit easier.
Yeah, and I think part of what ended up happening is we ended up making the process a little bit more complicated, and we added I'm off the camera again, added multi-APK. And there is actually.
Do you wanna?
Yeah, no, it's okay. There's equipment here and stuff, so that's why originally you didn't have to go and activate something, but then we're like, well, now when you actually are looking at things, you're kind of looking at a bundle of things that are all published together with multi-APK. So I think it added a little bit of complexity to what was going on in the market on the developer dashboard. I think that's something that we need to look at and say, all right, well, this kind of complexity does applies to a very small percentage of apps, but it does hit everyone. But hopefully it's not something that unless you're updating it every few hours, it's probably not, hopefully not taking a tremendous amount of your time. But it is good feedback.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that one before from pretty much anyone who has to do app updates. I was actually here at Google with a person who does our app updates here, and spent about an hour watching him publish all of Google's new apps. And so we've definitely seen, me and other members of our team, that it's not as efficient as we would like. It's not as streamlined as we would like. And so absolutely hear that feedback. You're absolutely right. There are a lot of things we could do to improve the usability of that. So, especially for folks like you, as you get more apps, you localize them into more languages. Maybe you have different versions of your apps. We need to find ways to make it easy to make sure that you do that update very quickly, and also that, it's not easy to make mistakes in that process, because, for people who have a bunch of apps, they're doing a lot of updates pretty frequently, and we want to see that go smoothly. So, thanks.
No problem.
There's a question on the stream.
Oh.
Question on the stream. What is it?
They're asking about a Netflix-like model for renting apps, like pay a monthly fee.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. That's a really interesting idea. That is one idea I actually hadn't heard yet. I hadn't heard that one coming from any of the developers yet. I'll think about how that would work. I guess if that person is willing to respond, how would they as a developer expect to be receiving a piece of that revenue?
Yeah. What do you guys think, the guys who are online?
Yeah.
The comment was, would it be possible to have a Netflix-style consumption model for buying apps? So you get like a $30 a month plan, and you get to download however many apps for that. It would be an interesting challenge because, as Ellie was saying, how do you guys get revenue from that? Is that something that sounds interesting from a developer perspective? Would you just rather market and sell your own apps? You're also shy. You have to type your answers.
Yeah, feel free to unmute.
Max says yes.
That's a great answer.
While we're waiting to see whether they have any further response, I like getting revenue from subscription service.
Okay.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, what do you guys feel about the revenue options? And this may be a little bit off topic, but you've got paid apps and you've got in-app purchasing at the moment in terms of ways to generate revenue as well as advertising.
And ads, yeah.
Are there other alternatives that we haven't even conceived of that you guys would like to be able to use? Nope.
The gentleman with the red walls looks very thoughtful.
That's true. You're inverted, Patrick, so that looks kind of epic. Is there anything you would like to tell us a little bit about what apps you have and how you use the console?
I pretty much go on every day. Actually, I don't know if you've seen the app Analytics. it's not mine, but I use it, unfortunately, sometimes more often than the developer console. It gives you sort of, I guess, it'll show you the differences every day. It'll show, this gained 88 downloads but lost 30 active installs. You got a comment on this app. You've got, you added 1 rating to this. Somebody added a rating and it changed your average to this new value. And then it also tracks, since it I guess just keeps track of the total downloads. It can give a similar graph to the active chart that's on the developer console. And I saw a couple people in the comments posting about how they'd really like to be able to see that total downloads information, because we really only have just every day the total downloads updates, but it doesn't show what it was yesterday or the day before or last month. There's really no way of, unless you were writing it, tacking it down manually, there's no way of knowing how you're doing.
Yeah. So I'll take that one. Yeah. I've heard from a couple of developers that part of their daily routine, in addition to brushing and flossing their teeth, includes going in and pasting data out of the Android developer console and into some type of a spreadsheet program. That doesn't sound very fun.
It's not, unfortunately. It's not.
So we've definitely heard that feedback, that not only do developers want to have more data, but they also want to be able to maintain that data through time. So that's certainly a request that we've heard again and again. And it's one that is very understandable, right? And we want people to engage, to understand how their users are using it. And then I guess, like the gentleman earlier was mentioning, if I run certain campaigns, how do I track the impact of that? How is that impacting my overall numbers? Who's actually using my app? How much progress have we made? And so on. So that's absolutely something that's right. And it's great to hear that you're coming in daily and checking in on things, because with mobile, everything can change so quickly. So we want to give better tools for developers to be able to do that. If you are monitoring your app on a daily basis, what information could we give you that would be useful? So I guess that would be one question for you or anyone else on the Hangout. If you're checking your app on a daily basis, what would you be looking for?
I just want to know what changed. I mean, we have numbers for every, we have downloads, active downloads, comments, ratings. What changed?
Yeah. Okay.
What's the day-to-day, the delta, and then even month-to-month, year-to-year, what we want to be able to see all those numbers over time. Because it's a lot. Yeah, and exporting as well would be awesome.
An export. What would you do with your export?
My friends love playing with graphs, so they one of our developers really he goes a little overboard sometimes and just starts correlating things all over the place. So having the ability to dump it into a CSV file and pop it open in Eclipse, or even play around with the Google Graphs would definitely be a welcome addition.
Okay. And do you know if there's any type of data that you would love to go crazy with in his Graphs program that he's not getting today?
I'm not positive. I think there's a lot of it there. It's just the overtime is lacking.
The overtime. Okay.
Yeah, it's funny how the overtime thing, it definitely is interesting. I know I've spoken to a lot of authors, and until recently, Amazon didn't have that ability to be able to track your book stats.
Yeah.
And so it would be the same thing, like people would release a book, and then every day they would log on and check what their stats are and all the rest of it.
Paste them into a spreadsheet.
Exactly.
Horrible.
the less pasting into spreadsheets that we all have to do, I think, is definitely a step in the right direction.
I agree.
Does anyone else have any suggestions of what data they would like to see when they log in and what they would do with that data? David Webb is typing. Is David Webb on a video?
I think he may be one of these black screens.
One of the no camera people.
Carol Garrett.
Okay. David Webb has no camera. I'm sorry.
We've seen your lack of screen.
But we would love to see your text. Yeah, so does,
Shepherd dance while we're waiting.
yeah, the daily stats would work really well with search keyboard referral tracking, so we could correlate them.
Ah.
Mm. And I'd just out of curiosity, David, or anyone else, let's say that you had this data that you're looking for. What would be the type of actions that you would take on a daily basis with that data? Like, would you change anything about the app? Would you change anything about your marketing campaigns?
Yeah, that's a good question.
What would you do?
Is it just out of curiosity to pull graphs, or are there business type decisions that you're going to be able to make using that correlated data?
David is typing, so we may get more. That's great. Oh, Mortiz has a post. Oh, Mortiz, if you want to talk, that's fine.
Yeah, by all means, just unmute and talk away.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah.
Patrick, can you mute, please? We're getting some feedback on you. Thanks, man. Okay, yeah, no, please go ahead, Maurice.
I have posted the question in the chat too, but I was wondering if it's possible to engage in a direct conversation with a person who commented on an app. Basically, I had a lot of occasions where I was able to help a person really directly if only he can, he can listen to my thoughts. And changing my own comment most of the time doesn't help because the other people don't read it.
Mm-hmm. And so would you, this is a request we've heard very often as well, is this something that you would want to be able to do in kind of a, I don't know, walk me through how you expect that experience to work for you and for your customer?
I think an ideal thing would be a public conversation because you can answer a question and maybe other people have the same problem, so they can read some kind of threaded comment or something like that, or maybe
something like Reddit would be good. That style comment.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Or
Sorry, what was the other comment?
A threaded, I think.
A threaded comment. Okay.
Yeah. Or something where you can add a comment to a user comment, and this can then be marked with a some icon which says that the author of the app has responded to that, which can be expanded or something.
Okay. It's definitely something we've heard a lot. Do you have any other ways that you'd want to interact with your users? Or is that the main one?
I think public conversation would be good.
Okay.
Of course, private stuff is also nice. I mean, if you can get the email address, you can address them, but maybe that is a little too intrusive, and public commenting should be good.
Does anyone else have any other thoughts about that type of a feature?
Well, on that topic, if you could have people be able to vote on which responses were most helpful, and those bubble to the top of the list, I could see that really being beneficial to people who come to the comments.
Doesn't that happen already?
Yeah, isn't that functionality already in there?
It does, but I mean vote on which of the responses are most helpful.
If they were responsive, yeah.
Sure, of course.
And in terms of when you say responses, do you mean responses that you as the developer of the app have posted? Or
Yes. Yeah, if we were able to respond and have a public conversation with the commenter and then some voting process on which of those were most helpful, that would obviously be valuable to users looking for answers in the future.
Oh, okay. Do you find that of people trying to use the reviews as a kind of a support forum? Or?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. They post like it's a support forum.
Oh yeah.
I don't think that you're going to be able to stop users from using it as a support forum. So making it right now it's a one-way street, and it's frustrating to have them to use it as a saying I need help with this. I mean, people literally will say that they need help with something, and you can't, and you could know exactly what's wrong, and you can't respond back to them.
Yes. Yeah, it looks like a black hole support forum at the moment.
Right.
Yeah. How do you support your users today? Since we don't have the ability for developers to post comments, what happens today?
For me, it's predominantly email, the email link on the market, and one that I have in the apps themselves.
Okay.
We have email on the market, and then most apps we try to have some sort of feedback mechanism where if they need help, it'll shoot us an email.
And do any of you folks have like a support website or any type of a forum that you might direct users to as well, or is it mostly the channels just through Market?
It's mostly direct to email for me. I've never gone the forum route. Don't know about anybody else.
Yeah, same. Mostly
Yeah.
Market.
Mm-hmm.
I can also see when we're talking about the response mechanism for the comments, I can see or different views on those comments, because sometimes it's good to have the latest comments, but sometimes it's very good to have the most valuable comments, like the gentleman who's just large in the picture proposed. So different views on the comments can be helpful for person for the user reviewing those comments, because he might decide, is the purchase worth it? And then I'm looking at the latest comments, because is the app currently good? And then the person who returns to the app, he might look at the most frequently asked questions.
Okay. Wow. There's lots of responses in the group chat here. So it sounds like a couple other folks are noting that public responses could be useful. Another person says users responding to users.
Yeah, I think that would even be helpful as well if users could respond to users, because I'm sure someone could help out, even if we can't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you do see that already just on
Yeah, but instead of a direct comment, it's just 10 or so comments up.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to get lost in the crowd.
Yeah.
And you're always certain that the person who's addressed by the other comment, which was a good comment, is never going to read that, because he leaves the app and he won't come back.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. I wonder, like, is the problem that users are using the comment stream as a support forum? Like, if there was a better way for them to be able to get support and feedback from each other, would that be preferable? I just have this vision of multi-threaded, multi-replied, like basically Reddit within Android Market, and I'm not sure that's something I want. But I'm curious. Like,
it's an interesting question. Like, you go to, let's say, Amazon, right, and you're looking at a review of a book or a movie, and users can respond to each other. I'm not even sure that the merchants are allowed to respond, but
they can. It's usually pretty amusing when they do that.
Yeah. But they have, I guess, a whole threaded system, and I'm trying to imagine how that would appear on a mobile phone screen.
Yeah.
But it's definitely an interesting question.
Just look at any of the Reddit apps, because that's essentially what that would be, right?
Yeah.
How do they do threaded comments? I mean, you wouldn't have to display the entire thread. It could just simply be, comment and then developer reply and read more if you'd like. A little space over. I think it could be done, and I think it would add a lot to comments in general.
I think the truth is that, as somebody mentioned earlier, users will always treat the comments as a bit of a support forum, because it's there in front of them. It's easy.
Mm-hmm.
They will post these things on there, and right now it goes nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to start out with kind of feature, I think the very first thing that is required is a response from the developer, because he definitely knows what's going on. And anything else can be added later, but a direct developer comment that would fix a lot of uncertainties in the comments.
So how does it work now? Do you each have someone from your company, or possibly yourself, if it's a one-person operation, who actually has part of their job to look through the list of all of the comments and either take those into account or try to find some way to follow up? Or what do you do with them?
Right now, I mean, there isn't any direct way to follow up, by and large. So it is just a matter of survey them and try to distill what people are looking for, problems people are having that we can address indirectly.
Mm-hmm. By maybe releasing a new version of the app with a bug fix or something like that, or?
Yeah, I mean, we do that sort of thing, but frequently there isn't enough information as well. It's like somebody will say something isn't working, but you don't really have any idea why without a bit of back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Even like the best situation is, maybe they mention the phone that they had and crashed and try to match it up with an error log that you could maybe find, but it would be so much easier if you could just say what phone, what phone do you have, what version, and actually help them and improve your apps at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's also interesting to see what David Webb is writing in the chat now, because he says that he is changing the description to accommodate for user comments. So there's
Seems like a
a
bit of a
need.
hack.
Yeah.
So it seems like, I guess for those of you who are saying, you know, you need to get more information from the users, it'd be good to know what is the information you need. So someone mentioned kind of the version of the Android platform that's running and then the device. Is there anything else that we could perhaps automatically capture? You know, we've started to capture the device and show that in the filter of the user comments, but are there...
Sure, and version of the app, which you are showing in the console now.
Yeah.
That was helpful, because it's surprising how many people aren't up to date.
Yeah. And then may make you think, oh, that's why, you know, I could have sworn I fixed this, but, you know, they're on an old version.
Maybe
It would
the
be really
device local.
helpful to show that to the end user, so that, you know, they can tell from the comments if the comment is about a current version of the app.
That would be nice, notifying the user, even though they should if they're on the market page. But if they're making a comment on an older version of the app, it should notify them, like, hey, you have a really old version.
Well, that's
Consider
a good idea.
upgrading.
That is
That's a
true,
good
yeah.
idea.
That is
Like
good.
if you're just someone's about to give you 1 star, it could let them know, you know.
Because you shouldn't be able to give a comment on the latest version of an app if you don't have the latest version of an app. Like it's displayed on the current version of the app, but they're not commenting on that. They're commenting on something you released 5 months ago
Oh,
and fixed.
that would
you
be ideal if you disabled the comments for all but the latest version of the app.
I'm now curious because I always have on my apps auto update, but now I'm curious to go and double check and see whether or not there's anything that is preventing that from happening. Because now that you're thinking about it, now that we're talking about it, it doesn't really make sense, does it?
I think, you know, people that are paying attention to it, like probably everyone on this chat, have their apps up to date, but it's remarkable how many real-world users don't.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm curious. I'm gonna go investigate and see what's happening there because now I'm really intrigued.
In fact, David's made a comment. He says essentially that it might be useful to have a way to filter out every comment except for the ones against the latest version of the app.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's definitely a good point.
One problem I see with that, though, is people could start just updating a new APK to get rid of bad comments.
True, but then they'll have no comments. No comments.
Yeah, and that's not good either, yeah.
True.
They could just be given a lower sort priority, so you sort comments based on. I mean, it's sorted by time anyway, but if they're sorted by most recent app, then even if you're constantly putting out new updates in order to get rid of the old ones, they're still there. They're just below the newest comments for the newest version.
If you are looking for more fields to add, it could be interesting to have the language of the user and the local, as in where he sits in the world. So maybe your app relies on this information, and maybe stuff is not shown because the country is different.
Yeah. Well, we have the language now at least available to you in the developer console when you go look at the comments,
Yes.
but the country we don't have. So that's interesting feedback. Maybe you could then localize a problem, and like you said, you know, something isn't working right in one particular country. You could try to figure out that that's your issue. That's where the low feedback is coming from.
Yeah, it may even be able to use that as an incentive to localize your apps if you're getting low star ratings in particular countries which you haven't localized before.
Yes. Or maybe your translation is so bad that people don't understand it.
Yeah, the words for okay and cancel have been flipped, and that's why no one can understand what's going on. Let me see.
Let's I think you got a couple of questions.
Yeah, I had a couple of questions I wanted to ask. I guess for those of you who work at a company or an organization where it's more than just you, I'd be curious to know who from your company is interested in the Android apps that your company is building. Technical people, people from marketing, people from finance. Who's interested? Who's looking for data? Who's looking to get involved?
Is there anyone here who fits that description?
Yeah, maybe we have all the one-person army. So.
No, I think of course, the marketing people sell the stuff, so there should be some interest to follow leads. But depends on the size of the company, I guess. If it's a small company, everybody knows what you're doing, and if it's large, then it might just be your department. So it varies a lot, I guess.
Do the people in marketing ever come and, let's say, ask you for any type of information or ask you to do anything with the app?
Well, sure. It depends on who's doing which level support, and if we're not the person to be asked, then of course we get forwarded with questions.
Okay.
It's interesting. I mean, just to take that a bit more broadly, given that we don't seem to have that many people in that situation on the stream, how do you use the stats and the information that you get from the site? Like, do you use it to help your marketing, to inform your business choices?
Well, that relates back to a question you had earlier, what we would do if we had more data and more information. Something that occurred to me after we sort of moved on is that frequently I've made a change to an app, uploaded a new version, changed the description, screenshot something, and I have to make notes somewhere of when I did that change and did it affect sales. And it would be really quite helpful to have a change log of some sort on the Market Console to be able to say, on this date you added 3 new screenshots, and then you can correlate that with what happened with sales.
Oh,
did it help? Did it hurt?
That would be really helpful.
Go ahead.
That would be helpful, having a changelog when you activated certain APKs, anything you changed on the website, and I think the recent changes for the marketplace, it doesn't work the same between the device and the market. I don't know if anybody's noticed that. There's like the recent change, I think, shows every new line shows up as like a bullet point.
Oh yes.
It doesn't but on I guess on the device it shows up how you typed it in the console.
No, that is
Yeah. Quick bug I noticed.
I mean, if you're looking for feedback from the market, I'm not sure if this is really the best place. There's obviously Google Analytics or Flurry, and these kind of tools give me much better insight into how my app is performing and how it's being used. So the market itself, it's more, the comments are important, but not the statistics really.
That's interesting. Would you say that because the information that you need isn't there, or just because that's not where you're looking for that kind of information?
It's just because it's not there. I mean, you can obviously get much denser information from Flurry or Google Analytics, and there's not much work to do, and you get usage times and much finer granularity of people, and those tools. So they're very helpful, and we have looked at them, especially in the beginning when we launched an app, and we make some quick adjustments according to these stats, and they were really helpful.
Okay.
Sterling, did you want to tell us a little bit more about how you use the market and the developer console, I should say, and sort of your workflow around that?
Do you mean me? No.
I don't know really. I mean, I feel like it's pretty basic of, as was mentioned, go in pretty much daily, check on comments and things like that. I do wish there was more functionality in the history and the data, as has been mentioned here. I can't think of much more to say on that just at the moment.
Okay.
Well, it seems like Garrett says the same thing in the comments, that the statistics are purely to see how things are doing. The comments are sort of more important. I think what would be interesting to know is are there things that you would like to be able to take action on? So you're going in to see how things are going, presumably in order to take action if things are going in the wrong direction, or keep doing things if they're going in the right direction. Is there, are there things that we could have within the tool which would help you to do those actions, to take action when things change?
Something that isn't likely to go anywhere probably, but I think we all know is quite important is rankings within categories, to be able to see that. And I know it varies by country, by device, by things like that, but still it is very important to sales, and to be able to see where you are in your category, this kind of thing. Split out by country or by other factors. That could be very helpful.
That's a request I've definitely heard before, is people wanting to understand exactly where they are in different markets with their app. In addition to that, tell me kind of what your next steps would be. Let's say that you learned that you were 15 in Korea in the games category. What would you do with that? What would be kind of your next steps from there?
Well, obviously, in different countries, you could use that to inform decisions about doing translations. I'm more thinking of tying that into history as well, to see, again, made a change to the description and dropped 2 places in the category. Well, you can make a decision if that wasn't a good thing to do and put your description back how it was, or that sort of thing. Again, tie the history and the data back together.
Okay, it definitely seems like there's a lot of comments about wanting to be able to see the history to monitor kind of change in effect, or at least correlation.
Sure.
Does anyone else have any other thoughts that they would want to have around understanding how they rank in market within their category or within different countries?
If you could do search terms as well, that'd be kind of cool. Like if you, let's say you have Team Fortress 2 soundboards or something, and you want to see where you rank if somebody types in TF2. If you could have just a page of search queries, and then what ranking your app would be in that query.
That is true. The sort of things that Google does with web rankings and Web Developer Console, to see what search terms, from the other side, what people are searching for that does find your app.
Oh, interesting. So you sort of, back to the previous conversation around when someone downloads my app, I'm not really sure what steps they took to get there.
Yeah, definitely.
So then you might be able to take some of that information and roll that into, let's say, a marketing campaign, or optimizing the description or the title of your app, or the things like that?
It's exactly what I do with that sort of information.
Okay. Yeah, it's always interesting. Actually, just a little while ago, I was going into Google Analytics to see when people go to the developer console, what are they searching for when they end up there. So it's always interesting to see how people are sort of thinking about your product. What is it they're trying to do when they end up on your product. I think we're getting some more comments coming in on the group chat. I saw a few comments about the stack traces. There was one earlier about wanting to know the device and the Android version. And then there's one from Maritz about decipher stack trace from ProGuard. I don't know what that is.
ProGuard.
Yeah, it's typed wrong, but the idea is to see the real stack trace, not the encrypted one.
Okay.
Of course, it's very easy to do by hand, but it could be a nice feature to do it right in the console.
Oh, I see. Okay, so saving you a step of your work.
Yeah.
Making it faster. Okay. And then, Brian, it looks like you're typing a comment, or?
I have a question. Is there any reason why we can't rearrange the order of the apps? Like, right now they're listed, alphabetically, top to bottom?
Oh, order. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how would you want to arrange them?
I think it'd be nice if you could do it in just whatever personal order I'd like, or having sort options would be nice. You could just say, put, total downloads, so I can sort by, what my best apps versus, or just least amount of downloads, or newest risers, just to be able to, or hide ones that I don't really feel like looking at.
I think hiding really would be quite high on my list, just because, there are apps that I've tried that haven't worked out and I've taken off the market because they were...
Yeah, you can't delete them either, which is...
Yeah, you can't delete anything, and I can sort of understand keeping it around for history, but...
Yeah, but if you have 10 apps that start with A that you unpublished, You now have to
Exactly.
like sort through 3 pages to go find the ones that you actually
Exactly.
care about. And the
You'd
fact
want to
that,
have some way to hide them.
yeah, being able to hide apps, being able to rearrange them either by sort orders or just in a predetermined way. Like I wanted to have this app first, this app second, this app third. Do a drag and drop sort of thing.
Okay.
And yeah, that would I think that'd be nice.
I've seen this a pretty popular feature request.
Sorry?
I've seen this a pretty popular feature request on promo discounts.
Promo codes, discounts, kind of
Yeah.
more merchandising options. And
Yeah.
like I know a lot of people saw the 10 billion promotion that we did back in December, and that certainly generated a lot of user interest. So it sounds like other options are very interesting to people to find out how do I get
About
more.
7 plus points.
Whoa, that's pretty good.
Raised by 4 individuals.
Wow. Okay.
In the same vein as the promo codes, being able promo codes. Sorry, I'm looking at the list I have from the comments from before. Oh, I can't find it. Give me a minute.
Okay. So I see promo codes coming in from David as a key request.
It's interesting. So how would you use the promo code? What's the main use case for it? Is it for giveaways? Is it for testing? For press? Like what's the kind of key use case?
Customer compensation. You know, I've heard that as a request. Running discounts.
Customer compensation is one that I have had in the past, but also just as part of a campaign to, release a major new version and, drop the price and say you've got a promotion on, or you do a marketing campaign somewhere and here's your promo code to get half off the app on the market. This kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And if we did have some sort of capability like that, how would you decide whether or not that would make sense for your business?
Well,
How would you decide whether to do it or not, or how much discount would you want to give?
Stop doing it.
Yeah. How would you go through that? Like, what type of data would you need to decide, yeah, this worked out really well, or this totally wasn't worth it?
tying it back to our previous discussion, just have some history and, a log of during these dates this promo code was active and it was redeemed this number of times and our overall sales were this.
Mm-hmm.
It's fairly easy correlated if you have the data.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see on the side someone's saying giving a free version to beta testers. So I guess that brings it up another area, which is, do you do beta testing of your apps? How does that work?
Frustratingly.
What?
Frustrating.
Frustratingly.
It's basically your options. Yeah, right now, if you want to use the market to beta test, you either give it to everybody or side loading is really an annoying option because one, you have to give it to somebody who knows how to side load. You have to, and it defeats the purpose of running it through the market. You're not getting that sort of information. You're completely bypassing the dev console, and you can't. And it doesn't do automatic updates, so you actually have to keep sending out APKs, which is not fun. And nobody really wants to just hand out that sort of stuff. They can just pass it off to somebody else. So I think having maybe just a private, not private market or some code.
Yeah, private listing is really needed.
Yeah,
I think
private
it's a long
listing.
way towards addressing that. I mean, that would also be useful for enterprise distribution, a variety of things, just to make the distribution possible, but not to everyone.
But if you look at the model, how current software is tested, I mean, what you usually do is an internal test, and I think that doesn't have to be so broad. It's very helpful if you knew the people who are doing the test, so you can go back to them and ask them again. And if you are confident enough about your app, I think you can go out into the market under a concrete beta label and then make it available and say that this beta and it will get improved over time. But the initial test can be done internally. That was my experience.
It's interesting, actually. I've heard that from developers before, that user feedback is much more generous and kinder if you have a beta label attached to your app. Is that the experience you guys have found?
Absolutely. We had a internal testing phase with 20 people who all were side loading, of course, and the next step was a beta phase, which was not really long, but then we published the app, and maybe the app wasn't really well known, so we didn't get much negative feedback on the beta label, but it didn't hurt us.
And there's some feedback here I see. Get a few testers together with various devices, distribute the APK to them privately, and then when testing is finished, handing out the coupon code to say thank you. Okay, so that's kind of interesting, actually, to combine those two ideas, say a beta test, and then some compensation for those people.
It sounds like one of the big drivers is really to keep everything in the dev console, so to minimize the times where you're distributing APKs outside of the market ecosystem.
Yeah, so how are you doing that now? Are you emailing them as attachments, or is there some other way that you do it?
Yeah, emailing is the way. But actually, there's another problem, because the beta tester have the app, and the app's obviously not attached to the market, so it's not updated. So that's another hassle for them. If they want to get the app, they have to uninstall it manually because of the different signature. And so they are in the trouble now, and that's not very nice for them.
Yeah. Yeah, as soon as it's live on market, you need to get all your beta testers to uninstall and re-download.
Yes.
Yeah.
I see. So that was sort of David's comment there. It only works before the initial release on market. So then I guess if you, like I had heard from another developer who mentioned they had a bug and they were trying to get a couple of users who had experienced the bug to beta test the fix. And so it seems like that could be pretty complicated to do if you didn't.
Yeah, really emailing the APK is the only way to handle that at this point.
Yeah, it's not ideal. So. Okay.
And you can definitely not do different development streams like canary builds or alphas and stuff like that.
Is that something which would be useful to you guys, like being able to have yet more multiple APKs with sort of multiple development streams? So you've got a canary build and a nightly's build and a stable release, sort of the way Chrome.
Well, sure. I mean, something that would be very useful for is A/B testing, which is completely unworkable now. If you have a feature you're not sure about, to put it out to a percentage of your users, like you can with a website or a web app, and do A/B testing that way. There's just no way to do that currently. You either distribute a feature or you don't.
Has anyone found a sneaky way to get A/B testing in their app, or is not something anyone else is working on right now?
Nope.
Nope.
I imagine you could just do it where you use the device's ID and base 64 it or something and decide what modulo or something.
Yeah,
I suppose, but it would be hard to track that. I suppose you could probably put some analytics code in to do that. Yeah.
Right, and then you'd have some percentage of people complaining, wait, why did it update? Nothing changed.
Yeah, that's a good point. I have seen people do similar A/B style testing, but I think one of the risks is that it's still a new version, so you still got the risk of any bugs which you've introduced as well as that feature.
Sure.
It increases the risk.
Would that be something that people would be interested in trying, A/B testing in their apps?
I would, certainly, yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
I'd definitely be interested in that. It'd be nice to try out some new features, get some feedback.
I think it really depends on the type of app you're developing. If you're creating a cohesive experience like a game, you probably don't want to have a half-finished stage of the game. But if you are developing maybe a GPS scanner and it gets gradually better over time, you might be interested to get early on into updates. So I think it would be a good feature.
And keep in mind as well, those of you who aren't in Hangout or are muted or whatever else, do please continue to give feedback on some of these ideas in the comments stream.
Yeah, I'll be coming back later to have a look at all of them because it's just great to get so much feedback from so many different developers. And we want to definitely make sure we get it into account when we plan what to do this year. So
And on that note, it is just after 3, so we've been here for an hour. I think that's the amount of time we have scheduled for today, unless you want to stick around for a little bit longer. But I think we've covered everyone who's willing to talk within the Hangouts.
Yeah.
So,
oh wait,
we might
someone's
call it a
saying
day.
free to paid.
Free to paid boo. Oh, so all right. Sorry, Garrett. Okay, so I think Garrett's.
We'll take one more question and then we'll wrap
Indeed.
up.
I think he made the question further up, so correct me if I'm wrong, but the question is, if you have a free app and you want to make it a paid app at the moment, you cannot. So, yes, I think that's the comment. Yeah, he wants to be able to have a paid app and make it free and then make it paid again, or just have a free app and make it become a paid app without having to create a whole new APK and everything else.
I see, yeah. So I guess right now we have a policy where if it's free, you can't make it paid.
That's right.
I guess
Once-
you can see
once
that
it's
could be
it's
a free,
forever.
a bit of a weird experience for a user if they get used to something and then at one point it updates itself or they update it and it's like, okay, you got to pay. How would that work?
Mm.
So I think you really have to think through the user experience on that. I don't know. I think it just seems like kind of a strange experience to me, although I could definitely see why you'd want it. I've seen a lot of apps. I was just playing with a couple yesterday where they just have two, I mean, I guess just like you mentioned, 2 APKs, each with a different name. One of them is called Lite or Free, and then the other one is called Paid or Pro or something like that. And I think at least to the user, it feels pretty clear what's what, you know, and as long as you can port over all the users' data and their state, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I would definitely be interested in hearing more feedback from Garrett if he had sort of a scenario. He says there's various legitimate reasons why a developer or company would want to do that. So
David makes a good point. If you had
free
promo
for
codes,
marketing purposes is one use case.
yeah. So
Yeah.
what you want to do is be able to have people not pay for the app. And so making it free is the easiest way, but there may be other things that you can do, like promo codes, to achieve the same end goal.
Yeah. And I guess some developers use in-app products or other things in order to unlock more functionality. But I think that's the thing. You have to make a clear value proposition to the user. You know, in the market, how would you really do that to say, okay, it's free and you can have it, but then at some point it stops being free? You know, I know there was that kind of period a number of years ago where you'd have free trial versions and whatnot of different downloaded software, but, you know, it can get to be a complicated user experience for sure.
And to answer Morris's meta question, we have a team based in London, and they're going to be doing some of these hangouts as well. And in fact, Ellie here is usually based in London, so we have stolen her while she's in town. But we do have people based all over the world. So as we do more of these hangouts and understand better how to use them and how to use them to really reach out and get in touch with you guys, we'll have them in much friendlier time zones for folks all over the world.
And we'd definitely love to have more members of the team working on the developer console speak with you directly about what they've been working on. So stay tuned, because there's definitely a lot more coming.
Excellent. All right. Thank you very much for joining us today.
All right. Thank you, and thanks to everyone who's connecting to the
Thank you
Hangout or
all.
is watching on the
Thanks.
streaming.
Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.